Hey guys, welcome back to the Boundary Riders Podcast, another episode of the podcast for the off-season. Do have a little bit of AFL news to talk about, but as always, we are joined by our co-host, Jack. Jackpot Junkies over here on Instagram, if you haven't followed him yet. Are you still posting on there? Or?
Oh, a few every now and then.
We had the Melbourne Cup,
yeah,
which we won't really talk about because I didn't really care about it.
Yeah.
I mean, did you win?
No, we lost. I lost everything.
Okay. He lost everything, so he's currently
Yeah.
living with me on the couch.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, guys, he's had to move in, but that could mean some more podcast episodes. That's not true. He hasn't lost everything.
I didn't lose everything.
I think he put $70 on it, so
Yeah.
he didn't lose a
I
lot.
only lost a few. Yeah, I only lost $70.
$70. Only a lot. Only a bit. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's a lot of people out there
Yeah,
still
I-
crying over
yeah.
the Melbourne Cup losses.
Yeah. Then you see everyone that's won big amount of money. You think, well, why couldn't I be that lucky?
Why can't I be you?
Why can't I be that guy?
Yeah. But anyway, we will start with a bit of AFL stuff, and probably one of the bigger talking points throughout this week has been the resurgence of the AFL reportedly looking into a National Reserves League. So, if you're a little bit not understanding of that at the moment, or you're not in Australia, at the moment the AFL reserve teams are located in different states, obviously, and they're located in their own league, which means that obviously Port Adelaide's reserves don't play ever against Brisbane's reserves, and obviously vice versa, which I get to the point where some people would be coming from, where they say don't merge them because it could almost ruin the state leagues at this stage. But the AFL are reportedly looking a lot more into it in recent times, but there would obviously be a lot more concerns over Port Adelaide Magpies, who are Port Adelaide Power's obviously reserves team at the moment, but after a long period of time, I think that's kind of diminished. Yeah. But as obviously, we'll ask you first. Do you think we should have a reserves league?
Yeah. Oh, you can quote me on this, but I've always I've said it for years that the AFL should have a reserves league, and I'm a Port supporter, so Port Adelaide being one of the most successful teams in Australian football history. Yeah.
Oh, are you claiming their 23 premierships or whatever, like Collingwood are? Sweet 16, get over yourself.
If they're claiming that, Port Adelaide can claim all the premierships they ever won in the SANFL.
Fuck off. No, but anyway, I do think, though, that Port Magpies, to be fair, have not been the Port Magpies since Port Adelaide became their reserves team anyway.
Yeah,
because,
I believe that.
I mean, even at the moment, even in the reserves now in the SANFL, they're using the Port Power or Port Adelaide logo.
Yeah.
They're not even using the Port Magpies logo anymore.
Yeah.
So, I still think there is a way for Port Magpies to be in the SANFL, but I think it would be very hard at this point if Port Adelaide are going to merge into a reserves league. If that's the only thing stopping it, I think get over it. I think just make a reserves league now. I think that every other sporting code in the world has a reserves league for a reason. So then other teams can test it against. They're not testing it against state players. They're testing it against reserve AFL players.
Yeah, I want to get into the
team.
First team. Yeah.
And also that means you can train your different tactics and stuff against better opposition than the Adelaide Crows reserves testing it against Norwood.
Yeah.
No offence to the state teams like the Norwoods and the Werribes and that, who nearly won the VFL this year. No offence to them, but they're not all those teams up to the standard of the AFL quality teams and the AFL quality players. Some of them are to an extent, some of the players, but not as a whole. And if you look at the VFL, for example, there would be Werribee up the top, and I think a couple of other teams were up there. I think Williamstown were up there in the finals this year. But there's also a lot of them that were right down the bottom and barely won a game.
Yeah.
And the same goes for the VFL. A lot of the teams are up the SANFL as well. The Crows and Port Adelaide both made finals, and there are a lot of teams down the bottom. Same goes, not so much for the Waffle, because West Coast were down the bottom.
It's horrible in every fucking league.
But they even had to move the Sydney and the Brisbane teams to the VFL, so they had some not competition, but so they were actually playing against some decent teams most of the time. So I think, and basically at this point, the VFL almost is the reserves league anyway, minus 4 teams?
Yeah,
4 teams. So just merge them all together. But the argument obviously would be the other way, is it would ruin the state leagues. Because SANFL obviously, well, I don't think it would ruin the SANFL to an extent, but I think it would ruin the VFL to a huge example.
But I think this is a perfect example of what you can do for the women's game. So you can make it the AFLW Reserves League to see how it goes for them, because they play their state league leagues before the AFLW season even starts, which they play during the winter.
Yeah.
So I think if you could play a AFLW Reserves League and see how it goes, I think that's a way that you could establish it and see how it goes in that sort of way.
I was also thinking as well, it's kind of just came to me then, but obviously there'd be a lot of talk, especially like there'd be a lot of things like English soccer. There's obviously relegation. Now, I'm not saying the AFL should bring relegation. I think it would be actually a good idea, but it obviously would be. It's a lot more than just saying it. There'd have to be a whole lot of protocols. But let's say scenario. This is obviously, I don't think it'll ever happen, but it would be a cool example. If they had the AFL and the AFL reserves, but instead of just having a VFL, a Sandful, a blah 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 blah, they actually merge all those teams together into a league. Themselves, and then a team that finishes bottom every year, like a North Melbourne, for example, who have been on the bottom for so long and have picked up all these draft picks and still can't get up the ladder, give them the chance to say, look, you don't win this year, you get relegated. And then you bring up a team like a Werribee, for example, who had a really good season in the VFL, or a Norwood, or a Glenelg, even though we don't like Glenelg, but anything like that.
Yeah.
And then they go up to the regular league for a year and see what happens. I know that was obviously a huge thing that would never happen here because it's just too many scenarios and the AFL is not built for that. But that would be a good example and would definitely stop things like tanking and stuff and the allegations of tanking because no team wants to get relegated.
Yeah.
There's never allegations of Premier League teams, trying to lose, obviously, except for, well, I was going to say Chelsea, but they actually won on the weekend, so good on them. But, yeah, I just think that'd be an interesting take, and I was actually thinking about this, and I think I actually may make a video about, like, a possible way of, like, obviously they have the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup in England.
Yeah.
That the AFL would have that. And having, like, the VFA teams, the VFL teams, all that sort of stuff, fighting against each other. They even have it in the Australian soccer as well.
Yeah,
what do they call it? The Australia Cup or something now?
Yeah, but they've also started to bring in a relegation system in the next couple of years, I think.
That would be a good idea because there's so many bloody A-League teams that suck and finish down the bottom.
Yeah.
And have you seen the crowds at the A-League lately?
Oh,
Fuck
yeah.
me. They get more at the bloody AFL women's games. But anyway. Yeah, I think that's actually a good point that you make about having the AFL Women's Reserves League. And I'm surprised they don't already have that already.
Well, yeah, it's actually because they only play 10. Because they do play 10 games,
Yeah.
there's more of a room in the year to do this sort to test it out.
Yeah.
Like, you can test it out, and then the women's teams can get exposure, and they can get more money.
I've always thought the AFL women's games at least should start. Maybe not so much with the AFL season, but even if it was just like a couple of rounds, I would prefer it to start before the AFL season. But I get they've moved it for like, I think there was like weather problems and that sort of stuff.
Because they didn't want to play in the steaming heat.
Which I get.
Because Perth would always be really hot
48 degrees.
until about April.
Yeah.
Most years.
So I get that, obviously. That's obviously a bad example. It's just tough with dates. But even if they had it throughout the middle of the year, I know it sounds a bit weird, but, you know, having every single game be a curtain raiser for the AFL side.
Yeah.
That would give them crowds. That would give them, like, you know, a lot more exposure. And people who are going to the games have something to watch. At this stage, all we have for pre-game entertainment is two idiots at the front saying, guys, are you ready for the big game today? It's like, yes, cunt, fuck off. I would rather listen to music than you whine. Fuck off. I'd rather watch the women play and know, like, at this stage, other than, you know, people who actually watch the AFL women's game, no one knows the players. Like, could you name, other than Erin Phillips, which we'll talk about in a minute, do you know many players? I know a couple, but I don't know them off by heart.
Yeah.
Like, the Swans actually made the reserves, made the finals. I don't know many of the Sydney women's players. I may actually check it out, see if Sydney do okay. I did watch a little bit of the last game. By the way, that point that was given to Fremantle was a complete joke. It shows the AFL have aren't putting as much effort in as they should. Because let's be honest, I know they have it at the AFL grounds, but if they want to make it an actually legitimate sort of league and that sort of stuff, there's been so many controversial goal decisions in the AFL women's this season.
Yeah.
Because they haven't had any sort of goal line technology or VAR or AFL Edge and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Like, you just have to watch the replay and you see that was a goal every day of the week.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but...
I don't really blame the umpire because he was in such a tough decision. He got kicked it straight into him, so he didn't know exactly where it was going.
If you have the arc, it was obvious.
Yeah.
From watching one replay, you could see where the ball was going to head.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't even need the arc. You just needed to take a replay of it. Just stop the game for 30 seconds to see that was a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it was tough on that. But we are speaking about the AFL Women's, which we don't really do much. But one almost sad news, pretty good to see, but end of the day, Erin Phillips has retired from AFL Women's. She played for the Crows for a couple of years, then moved to Port Adelaide, where she pretty much always wanted to belong. I think it's safe to say. She had a pretty good game, and Port Adelaide won their last game of their AFL Women's season, so good on them.
They smashed the Giants.
They smashed them.
Yeah.
But obviously there's been a little bit of talk now that Erin Phillips should have she should be the name of the BNF trophy or medal for the AFL Women's season. And I tend to agree. I think it should be because, I mean, the men's have the Brownlow, which is named after Charlie Brownlow. Sorry, I don't know his name. And then we have the Collingwood medal as well, which is named after a person. I think it's fair enough that Erin Phillips, she was one of the inaugural players. She's by far the best in her time. She was her father as well as obviously big in football. Was massive here in South Australia. I do think it should be named after Erin Phillips. I think the only issue would be is the fact that it's not named after a Victorian. It'd be named after a South Australian. I think that'd be a big talking point. But I do think that Erin Phillips should be named the BNF medal or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I've always believed it. And there's a lot of people that have now come out and wanting it to be backed. And I think it's Nicole Livingston. I'm probably wrong about that, but
no, I think
she was asked about it during the week before she retired, Erin Phillips, and she was like, "We'll have to wait and see, look at everything and all that," which is just a PR thing that she'd have to say. She can't automatically say yes. It's going to be after. Yeah, but I think she even knows that it's probably going to be. Yeah. And, I
mean, she was the first winner of it, wasn't she? She was the first BNF winner of the AFL Women's.
I'm pretty sure she won it twice. She's won it twice.
Yeah, I think she won it twice, but I'm pretty certain she won the first one. Yeah. So I think it's fair enough that she would win it. I think it's a fair enough call. I don't really know who else would be, but I think, considering she was the first in that, I think it's a fair call that Erin Phillips deserves to be the AFL Women's name of the medal, BNF, whatever, the BNF medal or whatever. Staying on a bit of football, some bit of controversial merchandise was released from North Melbourne, which I thought was quite funny. Have you seen it?
No.
So North Melbourne released some new merchandise, their 2024 line or whatever, and did some surprising news. They released a T-shirt which is navy blue.
It looks like Geelong's.
It looks like Geelong's or Carlton's.
Yeah, it looks like more Geelong's because that's what normally they'd pick that dark blue with a white strip.
Yeah. This is their 2024 team polo. If you didn't realise, North Melbourne are a royal blue, not a navy blue.
Yeah.
So
you can see by the emblem that's in the top corner of the
yeah, I know, they're fucking... That is so stupid. I mean, at least if you can pick a bloody colour that's darker, pick black and then with a blue trim. I think that actually look quite nice. Yeah. But their merchandise idea, whoever picked this is an idiot. Your Kangaroos, your North Melbourne, you've got... Your colour is royal blue and white. Why would you pick navy blue? That looks so shit. Like, it looks like the shirt, there is a little bit of lighter blue at the top near the shoulder pads or whatever. Maybe I'll put a picture in the podcast. I'll probably put a picture in. So if you're listening on Spotify, come over or just look it up. Look up on the North Melbourne shop. You'll see it. And it's ridiculous. I can't believe that anyone got away with doing that because it looks so stupid that they're obviously... They're not fucking navy blues.
Well, maybe they're hoping that when people go to the AFL shop that they secretly
that could be an idea. Increase some sales.
They're trying to get a Carlton or a Geelong shirt. They're like, oh, I'm going to get that one, and not realise until they bought it that it's a North Melbourne shirt.
Yeah, everyone's looking at their mates and like, dude, did you become a North Melbourne supporter now? And they're like, no, this is shit.
It's like
they definitely get some accidental sales, like people to the MCC and shit. Maybe this is the marketing move.
Yeah,
this may be the smartest. Maybe they've hired the GWS guy. This is their marketing manager now. And this guy's like, look, no one really likes the royal blue and white. What we'll do, instead of trying to get some more supporters and be a better team, all that sort of stuff, fuck that. We'll just change our kit. We'll just make it navy blue and we'll make sales that way. All right, that's a great idea. I've changed my mind. Great idea from whoever made this marketing idea. Brilliant decision to change your colours to dark blue. Perfect idea. Now, one more thing I wanted to talk about before we move into a little bit more world sport is something a little bit interesting. Collingwood is plotting to be the first club to put exclusive content behind a paywall. Kind of interesting. So this is like, you would imagine like Patreon or I'm assuming it's not OnlyFans, but it could be that. We don't know. I don't know if Craig McRae is going to strip the clothes for Collingwood fans.
Yeah, who knows?
A bit surprising. I don't know what they would put behind a paywall that people would watch or whatever, because obviously you can think of it like a membership. Like, you buy a membership and you get exclusive perks at games and stuff. But to say exclusive content, that feels more like videos and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, as a supporter of the Swans, I actually subscribe to their YouTube channel, but they don't put anything out there that I'm watching very often. Like, it's not like a channel like ours or whatever where they're actually putting out content every single week and... and let's be honest, they're an AFL club. They have money. They don't need money from like people unless they want to pay for their memberships. So I could not imagine anything that they would put behind a paywall that would be worthy of purchasing it. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, maybe because they're the most memberships in the AFL with the most members and all that sort of shit. They think, well, we can cash in on it that with 100,000 members that there's going to be a certain amount of people that would go for it.
Oh, I'm sure there would be a few people, but I just don't know what they would put behind a paywall that's worthy of it. Like, if it's videos, I mean, are people really going to pay? Like, if you have the example, because most people nowadays can't afford to, buy a membership to begin with. I mean, I guess, maybe that's not true, because the AFL memberships went really high this year. I think it's the highest it's ever been. But I can't imagine that a lot of people would have money for an AFL membership for a team and then to pay for exclusive content for an AFL club, which I'm assuming would be a 12-month thing, which would, you'd think it'd be over at least $200.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe $100, at least 100, let's just say. I just honestly could not think of, like, content. Because, this isn't like tickets to a game, exclusive tickets or exclusive merch or that sort of stuff. This is like content. I'm expecting videos and stuff like that, or TikToks. Yeah. The only way I can think of it is maybe like it's like voice messages or being able to communicate with players.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of. But at the end of the day, like, do you really want to have to pay? As a player, do you really want to talk to some member or something that's just paid to get talked to?
Yeah,
like,
I just think it's really stupid.
Imagine doing the go, "Hey, how you doing, bro? Like, oh, you cool? How much did you pay for your membership? Oh, you paid $20 to talk to me? Well, you're cool." Like, no.
Yeah.
Unless it was a woman, maybe the guy would like that. I'm not going to go on with that joke. I was thinking I could go on with it.
We're just going to leave it with that and just see what happens.
Just leave that one there.
You guys make your own conclusions.
Yeah, exactly. But now, guys, we'll move into our world sport stuff. And obviously today, when we're recording on Wednesday, earlier this morning, Glenn Maxwell had a massive game for Australia in the World Cup and saved them by the skin of their teeth and basically stood on one leg as he did it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Oh.
So at one stage, Australia were 7 for 91, I think.
Yeah, 91 for 7 they were at one stage.
91 for 7. All right, you're in Australia. You can say 7 for 91. Yeah. Anyway, and then he went on to score 200 runs and hit the 200 on the last delivery.
Yeah.
So
and I think he smashed 3 sixes to win the match, I think it was.
Yeah. No, it was amazing. Yeah. And he's had a pretty good World Cup too. I think he scored 100 earlier in the series, in the tournament as well. So, good on him. He's done really well and saved Australia's ass. Does that mean we made the next round?
So now we've qualified for the semis.
Now we have qualified.
Yeah, so
we wouldn't have if we didn't. I don't think so. Because Afghanistan were going to win that. And then they would have been eliminated us. But he pulled that right out of his ass. And watching the highlights of this, Afghanistan did really well on in the batting. Yeah. I thought they had it. And then the bowling for, half of it was brilliant. And then they just let him get back into it. And then Maxwell on one leg, just too good. But
you just saw some of the shots that he was doing. He was just swinging. He wasn't moving his body. All he was doing was swinging his arms and swinging the bat.
And hoping for the best.
Yeah, just hoping for the best. And just...
He did play a couple of good reverse shots, though.
Yeah, just... Because that's what he is. He just has to play it
Yeah, he's just swinging the bat and reverse
shot
and a couple of sweeps.
Captain Pat Cummins just standing there in awe of him, just watching winning the game.
Yeah, well, Pat Cummins, he only got about 13 runs, didn't he?
Yeah, 12 or 13 runs out of the partnership that...
Yeah, that Glenn Maxwell carried.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, all credit to him. I mean, there's obviously been a lot of criticism on his career, and I mean, probably justified because obviously he hasn't done it consistently, but... When it's mattered the most, he's done very well in this World Cup because there are a lot of players in this World Cup for Australia that have done pretty poorly.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting if he can make the semi-final though, because if he was that hurt on cramp, it'll be interesting if he can get up for the next game. Because where is the World Cup being held? In India. India, yeah. So it's going to be pretty tough conditions for him. And then he's got to come back here for an Australian summer pretty soon. I don't know if he'll be in the test squad. I would doubt it, but he'd be in the one days definitely.
So
and we've got West Indies here.
West Indies and Pakistan.
Oh, we should be fine against West Indies in the Test cricket anyway. We'll see how that one pans out. And we'll just quickly move into some soccer news or Premier League. What was it? Tuesday. It's Tuesday morning here in Australia, or Monday night for everyone else, basically. Tottenham lost their first game of the season to Chelsea.
Yeah.
Have you seen the highlights of this
game? It was entertaining, I thought.
Well, for the first 15, 20 minutes, well, 30 minutes almost, Tottenham dominated.
Yeah.
Son got one goal, then got one disallowed for offside. There were 4 goals in the end that were disallowed for offside.
Like, the amount of times that... Like, I think at the end of the first half, there was 12 minutes of stoppage time because of the amount of VAR checks there were.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of the talking point from this game as well. And Ange Postecoglou did have an interview with one of the journos after, which I'll talk about in a sec. But obviously, one big talking point in this game as well was Tottenham went down to 9 men, and Postecoglou, instead of playing a more defensive play style, still played his high line.
Yeah. Still
played an attacking brand, and to his detriment, to an extent, because they obviously got 3 goals piled on against them by Chelsea later in the game, and Jackson actually got a hat-trick, which is a miracle, I think, for him. Well. But I think at that point, a lot of people are just saying that it didn't mean a lot, and I'm going to be honest, when Chelsea were playing late in that game, and I barrack for Chelsea, not as much as I used to, but I still follow them. It looked like Tottenham just could not get on the board, and Chelsea just got a counter-attacking goals.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it was a big turning point in the season. I don't think anyone was sitting there going, "Oh my God, Tottenham are done and Chelsea are coming on the rise." Well, everyone was like, "Oh God."
I'm sure a couple of Arsenal supporters are thinking that Tottenham's just lost the title.
Yeah, I'm sure they're thinking that, but they're obviously thinking, "Oh shit, we haven't got to January yet. We've still got time to lose the title ourselves." But anyway, one I want to talk about a little bit as well is the interview that he had with one of the journos. Now, one of the journos was trying to give him all these questions, these poking questions, trying to get him agitated or whatever. One of the questions was, like I said, he kept on wanting to keep a high line even when they were down to 9 men, and I just loved how he was he didn't want to make a mistake, but he also was still himself. He was still trying to say this is how we're going to play our game. We did play very well. It was just at the point where it just got out of control. I think that was one of the quotes he said. The game's got out of control, and I think that's kind of fair. I mean, when you go down to 9 men in a game of soccer, you kind of know that it's going to be very hard to go on and win it.
Yeah.
But he kept on... to an extent, Tottenham nearly got a couple of equalisers when it was 1-1.
Well, yeah, it's what did you say? 4 goals were disallowed. I think 2 of them were Tottenham. They could have been up 2 or 3 goals about half.
Yeah, and are those red cards happening?
Yeah.
Because one of them was a young defender. I can't remember his name, but he went down. Yeah. He went down and got a red card against a second yellow to Raheem Sterling where he dove in. It was a little bit overzealous, but does he do that if Tottenham are 2-1 up or 3-1 up? I don't think he does.
No.
So that's one thing he talked about. But one of the main points, like I said, the journal kept on poking at him and saying why did she play such a high line when you're only down to 9 men? Would that change if you were, if it's gone down to 8? He said, mate, if we're down to 5 men, we're going to go always give it a crack.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, exactly. And if I'm a Tottenham supporter, I'd be like, that's great. You want to keep on attacking, and you want to keep trying to score.
Yeah, because, I mean, what as well, that's the sort of stuff that's going to get you a title. It's not going to... And how many times are they going to go down to 9 men? Not very often.
Yeah.
But, again, this game... If they win this game, they get, I think, 4 points clear on top. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they would have been... Because they're only 1 point behind City now, so yeah, they would have been 4 points clear.
Yeah, so Of course, it doesn't come up for me, does it? I'm just trying to bring up the table now. So if Tottenham do win that game, they're 2 points clear.
Oh, yeah.
So,
two.
They'd be 2 points clear on top, which is a pretty good lead, going into about the first third of the season at this point. So, I think that it should be a pretty good, if obviously they lose now, they're second. So you got to, take the risk with the reward. You got to, but they lost, and I mean, I do give credit to him. And I'm sure there'll be some people out there that say, "Oh, he's an idiot. Why didn't he just, park the bus?" Essentially. Yeah. But if they go win that game, everyone's like, "Oh, he's a genius. Exactly. He's gone and done that." But again, he stands by the sword. He plays the game like. He made that decision and it didn't work out. But I'm sure if they're going to go and win the title, Tottenham, they're going to have to make those tough decisions. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of managers out there. I don't know if the Guardiolas and the Mourinhos and that are going to do that. Would they do that? I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, obviously they have the resume of a better manager. But, stand up for your stuff. I mean, if he goes back and parks the bus and they concede, well then he looks like an idiot anyway. So at least if he's saying, "I'm going forward, we're gonna go for broke," could work out.
Yeah, and also you got to think also that Manchester City, they kicking like 80, 90, 100 goals a season. You got to try and get some goals because the goal difference comes down to.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've already got a goal difference of plus 20 when Tottenham have only got plus 10.
So, yeah, if he wants to keep on attacking and he wants to try and win a title, you got to kick goals.
Yeah. Oh, I 100% agree. So, I mean, maybe we're a little bit biased. Yeah, maybe we're just supporting the Australian guy. Yeah. But I just think going forward, if Tottenham are going to go somehow just steal the title...
Yeah.
At this point, well, not steal it, but, no one would have expected, especially when Harry Kane left, that Tottenham were going to go and win the title.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's... almost essentially stealing it. So you've got to remember as well, they're not even playing a true number 9. They're playing Son there. And he's playing very well as the new captain.
Yeah.
But he's not a traditional striker. So, that's why as well, I think it was offside, but he was very unlucky to not get that second.
Yeah.
So, a little bit tough on there. But obviously today as well, we did have the Champions League. So we'll quickly take a look at that. One thing in particular was Atletico Madrid won 6-0 against Celtic. Lazio won 1-0 against Feyenoord. Borussia Dortmund won 2-0 against Newcastle United. Sorry to the regular United fans. Milan won 2-1 against PSG. Leipzig won against some team. I'm not going to pronounce that. City won 3-0 as well. Shakhtar actually beat Barcelona. Holy shit, I didn't see that. How did I miss that? Anyway, I'm going to have to watch the highlights of that later. Porto won as well, and that's basically it on the Champions League. I'll quickly have a look at the tables quickly. So at this stage, Group F is the death group. So Newcastle can actually still make it. They've got 4 points at the moment, but sit last, but they're only 2 points from... I mean, they're one win from top. So who have qualified so far? We've got Bayern Munich, who have qualified... Oh, no, they haven't qualified yet, but they will. They've got 3 wins from 3 games. So that's all those. Sorry, here's the 4th. All right, so we've got currently Atletico Madrid almost have qualified. Borussia, they've nearly qualified as well. City basically are the only ones that have qualified with Leipzig. At this stage, you'd say almost Barcelona as well. So only a couple of teams have actually qualified. So there's still 2 games to go there. And there's obviously some games going on tomorrow morning as well. That's basically all the Champions League stuff and Premier League stuff we have now. So, I mean, we'll move on, talk a bit about the NFL. Actually, no, one more thing I wanted to talk about quickly is, this is quite funny, and I read this. This is a German female referee, so you want to fuck with her. I'm going to be honest. And this woman, looking at her, she's definitely killed someone. That's just what I'm going to say. She's got a very strong jawline for a woman, and I think that's very nice of her. But there was a Turkish player who made a very rude comment. His name is Karim Demirabe. I don't know who he plays for. Some team in Turkey. Anyway, apparently the ref went up to him and I think told him something. And the player turned around. And don't do this because this is fucking wrong. But he said, "You should stick to the kitchen."
Wow.
What a cunt. Oh, and then the ref obviously turned around and gave him a red card.
As he deserves.
Yeah, and he got suspended for 5 games. But yeah, I think that
Fuck, you know.
And as a part of the suspension, he'll have to officiate 1 women's football match as well. Oh, well, that's a weird one. What is he gonna? He's just gonna go around and abuse all the women.
Yeah.
Why would they go and send him out there? That's like just sending him out. Oh, Jesus Christ! That's like sending a dog out to the bloody out in front of into a butcher. Like Jesus Christ, he's gonna go out there and kill them all. No, I'm not. He's not gonna do that. But I thought it was very fucking what a cunt. Went out and just told this woman to go stick to the kitchen.
Wow.
What a bastard. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about we'll finish up today's podcast, guys, with a little bit of NFL chat and a couple of big games this week. And we'll get you to roll through them as we usually do.
Yeah, so it was a pretty big week, really. I think you saw some big wins, like, because, what's his name, Mike McDaniel, the Raiders coach? The
ex-Raiders
coach. He was sacked. They won 30-6 against the Giants. So, it's up yours to the former coach. The Browns shut out the Cardinals. The Cardinals played like dog shit, having won less than 100 yards of offense.
They are missing a lot of offense, but it's not good enough.
I think they get a bit of relief now because Kyler Murray's back coming up this week, so he should be back. So they should
at least get one touchdown.
They at least get something there. Kansas City won in Germany against Miami, which is a good game.
That's a good game in Germany. Yeah. Lucky them, fucking hell.
Yeah, they're saying Country Road at the start of the fourth quarter.
Like Charlie Cameron.
Yeah, the whole stadium saying Country Road.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're looking at that game as well. Dolphins only scored in one quarter. They scored 14 in the third. Did not get any sort of score. It's a good response from the Chiefs after last week's
demoralising against the Broncos.
Yeah, but they couldn't even score.
Yeah.
But good on them for bouncing back.
The Chargers they won 27-6 over the Jets, but they played Herbert I think only got less than 200 yards of offense really.
So lift your game, mate. That's what we're saying.
Pretty much.
Lift your game.
But the Jets played like they don't have any fucking offense. The Jets.
Well, to be fair, they kind of put all their eggs in the basket of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it shows how much they did though.
Yeah.
Like the Bengals beat the Bills. Another big title game was the Eagles beat the Cowboys, which is a good game as well.
Yeah, well, good on the Cowboys did alright, but the Eagles are going to be hard to beat this season. 8-1 they are now and currently lead everyone. So they're doing really well.
But the game I really want to talk about, which you will love, was the Vikings over the Falcons.
Alright, guys, that's the end of today's podcast.
No, but just 1 week that Josh Dobbs comes in and wins them the game off his own
glove.
There was he did some good things in that last quarter to win them the game.
Yeah, well, I watched a bit of this in the Falcons as well. The Falcons had a good lead at some points in this game, and I was very fucking annoyed because we had a good lead in the third and into the fourth, and we made a couple of really poor turnovers, and it just got the Vikings right back into the game, and then at the end, the Vikings were able to pull it off, and they by no means should have. The way the Falcons, like they said, the QB only came into the team about a week ago, and because obviously Cousins got injured, and all of a sudden they've pulled out this win out of nowhere, and it's not like he played like an outstanding game all the way through as well. The Falcons played really well for the first, it doesn't show it on the score sheet, but they played some really good offense, and they just could not for a bit, and then they just crumbled and then lost this game, and because. Jesus Christ. And that's my wife, sorry. She's getting satisfied by another man, unfortunately. Anyway, she'll love hearing that. I just think the Falcons' poor loss, and it could cost them now because they really needed to keep on winning because the Bucks went on one, and so did the Saints.
And then just the last thing I wanted to talk about was the rookie QB from Houston, CJ Stroud. They won 39-37 to the Bucks, so they didn't actually win the Bucks. But
didn't they?
No, the Bucks lost. Sorry, I just remember that. But CJ Stroud had 470 yards of passing yards. He did 5 TDs.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, from the first year, from the rookie QB, it was a great game by the kid.
He would have been a high pick though, wouldn't he? I'm assuming.
I think so. I think he was top. Don't quote me on this, but
because the Texans, I just remember, didn't play very well last year, so I'm assuming that he would have gone He would have been a high pick in the draft.
I think top, first rounder.
Yeah, so
we'll be safe for the first rounder.
Yeah, I mean they did concede quite a lot. They were lucky to hold on in the end to some extent because they conceded 37. But I mean, good on him, and good. Thank God the Bucks lost, because now the Falcons have a bit more of a chance. But the Saints did pull off a good win, so they are on top now. At the moment, I still think the Eagles are definitely favourites going into the second half of the season.
Yeah, I think that, looking at the playoff picture really through week 9, the top seeds are Kansas City and the Eagles.
That'd be a good game to watch too for the Super Bowl if that was to eventuate.
Again, the Detroit Lions are still in second for the NFC. San Francisco are third, and the Saints are 4th seed in the NFC. So,
all right, so we're still just one win behind. Good.
Yeah, pretty much one.
Thank God. Thank God.
It's probably the most contested group
at the moment.
Division.
Conference, it would be division.
Conference,
conference. Yeah. So at this stage, we'll quickly take a look at it. Eagles lead the NFC. What's that? South? That's not good, is it? Alright, there we go. So the NFC East is led by the Eagles. They pretty much capped that off now. Saints lead the NFC South by 1 win over the Falcons. In the NFC West, the Seahawks and the 49ers both on 5-3. The 49ers lead top with the 2 division wins. The NFC North, we have the Lions on top at this stage. Vikings are second, 1 win behind. And then the AFC side, we have the Chiefs obviously up the top, as they pretty much always are. In the AFC West, not like they have much competition though. They have the Chargers, the Raiders and the Broncos. Not exactly fighting chances at this stage. In the AFC East, we have the Dolphins leading, still playing pretty good, but they've kind of fallen off in the past few weeks, so only 3-2 in the past 5. Bills are close behind them. The AFC South, we have the Jaguars up top, one in their past 5 games have been brilliant. Texans have done pretty well as well, doing after last year's terrible season, and like we've said, Stroud had a really good game against the Bucks. They're 4-4 in second. And finally, in the AFC North, we have the Ravens up the top, who have won their last 4 games, playing pretty nicely as well. But a pretty contested AFC North with the Bengals, Browns and Steelers only 2 wins behind the Ravens and all on 5-3. But yeah, guys, that's basically all we have for today's Boundary Riders podcast of the off-season edition. We do have one thing we want to talk about in next week's episode, so make sure to stick around for that. Also, make sure as well to check out the YouTube channel for the Boundary Riders podcast if you're listening on Spotify, because we are starting to upload some weekly videos as well. You may have already seen one that we put out, which is the biggest scores for every single team this year. We've got some more of them coming out and some other videos in this off-season. So we still will be having the AFL content as always, so make sure to stick around. And if you are watching on Spotify, make sure to give us 5 stars because we desperately need it at the moment. I think we've got a couple of followers now over there, so that's pretty good. So thank you, appreciate that, guys. And thanks for watching today's episode. But that's all from us, so we'll catch you all next time.
See you later, guys.